In the distant reaches of the Milky Way, where starlight struggles against the inky black of the void, the ISS Retribution glides silently through space. Its metallic hull, scarred from countless micrometeorite impacts, reflects a dim glow from a distant sun. Inside the warship, the mood among the crew is a blend of routine tedium and the faint, ever-present undercurrent of tension that defines life at the edge of human territory. Captain Alara Miles stands in the command center, her gaze fixed on the vast display of stars ahead. Despite her youthful appearance, her eyes betray a depth of experience and a weariness that comes from years of command under stifling restrictions. She turns to her first officer, Lieutenant Commander Rajiv Singh, who is monitoring the ship's sensors. "Anything on the long-range scanners?" she asks, her voice steady, echoing slightly in the quiet of the command center. "Clear as usual, Captain. Just the standard comm traffic back to Earth." "No signs of Githry activity within our patrol zone," Singh replies, his voice carrying a slight hint of relief. Miles nods, her thoughts drifting to Earth, a planet now more fortress than home, encircled by defense satellites and shield generators, its people more prisoners than citizens in the eyes of the galaxy. The Githry Dominion, with their vast fleets and advanced technology, had long ago decreed Earth's isolation, limiting humanity to their ancestral home and a meager existence under the watchful eyes of alien overseers. "Keep scanning. Let's not have any surprises," Miles instructs, turning to gaze out the panoramic windows at the front of the bridge. The blackness of space is a constant reminder of the confinement imposed upon them, the galaxy's vastness an ironic prison. As the ship continues its patrol, Communications Officer Avachan calls out from her station, "Captain, I'm picking up an anomaly on the passive sensors. It's weak, but it's there, unlike anything we've cataloged before." Miles's interest is piqued. Anomalies are rare, and any deviation from the monotonous drudgery of their patrol warrants attention. She approaches Chen's station. "Show me." Chen adjusts the display, enhancing the sensor readings. A small, indistinct object appears on the screen, its outline blurred and shifting. "It's drifting, Captain. No propulsion signatures. It could be a piece of space debris, but its composition doesn't match typical asteroid material." "Could it be Githry?" Singh interjects, the concern evident in his voice. Miles considers this. Encountering a Githry ship here, in the neglected reaches of their patrol zone, would be unusual but not impossible. "Prepare a boarding party," she decides, her command voice leaving no room for doubt. "If it's Githry, we need to know. If it's something else, it could be a chance to learn something valuable." The crew of the Retribution springs into action, the ennui of their patrol shattered by the potential of this new discovery. As Miles watches her team prepare, she feels a flicker of the old thrill of exploration, a fire long banked under the cold dominance of the Githry. As the Retribution maneuvers closer to the mysterious object, Captain Miles can't shake the feeling that whatever they find on that ship, it will change everything. For better or worse, the monotony of their last patrol has ended, and a new chapter is about to begin. The ISS Retribution draws near the drifting object, its silhouette slowly becoming more defined against the backdrop of the star-studded void. The object, about the size of a small shuttle, is oddly shaped, with contours that suggest it isn't just another piece of cosmic debris. It has a smooth, almost aerodynamic form, unusual for an abandoned craft. Captain Miles and a select boarding team, including Lieutenant Jax Harper, the ship's best engineer, and Dr. Lena Voss, their xenologist, prepare in the airlock. They don their specialized space suits, equipped with the latest in human technology, admittedly far behind what the Githry use, but functional and sturdy. "Remember, we don't know what we're walking into. Stay sharp, keep comms open, and report everything," Miles instructs her team, the final checks on her suit complete. She gives a firm nod, her expression hidden behind her helmet's visor but her resolve clear in her voice. The airlock door seals with a hiss, and the small shuttle, piloted remotely from the Retribution, detaches and makes its approach. The ghost ship looms larger now, its hull pockmarked with age and celestial wear. There are no visible lights, no signs of life or activity, just the silent, eerie invitation of its open hatch, damaged and hanging off its hinges. The shuttle docks smoothly, albeit with an unsettling metallic groan from the older vessel. The team's boots clank on the metal floor as they disembark, their helmet lights cutting through the darkness of the unlit corridor ahead. "Looks like we're the first visitors in a long time," Harper quips, his voice echoing slightly over the comm. Voss, always the scientist, is quick to point out the architecture of the ship. "This doesn't match any known designs, human or Githeri. Look at the curvature here, in the material, it's not alloy or any composite we use." As they proceed, Harper pulls out a portable scanner, running it along the walls and the few visible panels. "Everything's dead," he observes. "Power's been out for a while. But the hull integrity seems stable enough." They reach what appears to be the control room. Unlike typical spacecraft, which would have banks of computers and control interfaces, this room is stark, furnished only with a central pedestal holding a single, large crystal that faintly glows blue. It's an alien technology, unfamiliar and mesmerizing. Dr. Voss approaches it cautiously, her scanner in hand. This crystal might be a data storage unit, or maybe it's something else entirely. "We should try to extract it, carefully, of course." As they deliberate on how to remove the crystal, Miles surveys the room. Her eyes catch a slight movement through one of the portholes, a fleeting shadow that sends a chill down her spine. "We're not alone," she announces, tightening her grip on her weapon. The team freezes, turning to follow her gaze. The shadow appears again, more distinct this time, clearly something, or someone, alive. The air grows thick with tension as Miles steels herself, stepping forward to confront the unknown. "Stay behind me," she orders, leading her team towards the source of the movement, their lights piercing the shadows. As they round the corner, they come face to face with. What they find is not a threat, but rather, an enigma, a humanoid robot, seemingly deactivated but intact, its design as alien as the ship itself. Harper kneels beside it, his tools already at work. This might just tell us who built this ship, and why it's here. As the team works to revive the robot, hoping for answers, Captain Miles feels the weight of their discovery. What started as a routine patrol has quickly spiraled into a first contact scenario, with implications that could extend far beyond the confines of their small, surveilled existence under the Githeri dominion. Back aboard the ISS Retribution, Captain Miles convened a meeting in the ship's main conference room, the gravity of their discovery lending a tense atmosphere to the gathering. The humanoid robot, now known as Sentinel based on its data logs, stood motionless beside Dr. Voss, its metallic frame reflecting the dim overhead lights. Dr. Voss was the first to speak, her face illuminated by the glow of her tablet as she swiped through complex diagrams and data. "According to Sentinel, the ship is much older than we initially guessed, possibly predating known spacefaring civilizations in this sector, including the Githeri." She paused, letting the information sink in, then continued, "Sentinel was programmed to guard something called the Continuum Engine. It's not just advanced technology, it's fundamentally different, capable of manipulating spacetime on a scale we can't even measure with our current instruments." The room was silent, each member of the crew processing the magnitude of what lay in their hands. Lieutenant Commander Singh finally broke the silence. "Are we talking about theoretical physics? Like time travel, or instantaneous space jumps?" "Possibly both," Voss replied, "and more. Sentinel's files are heavily encrypted, but what we've managed to decode suggests that the Continuum Engine could alter the very fabric of reality." Harper, who had been tinkering with a small device on the table, looked up. "The tech on that ship could leapfrog human technology by centuries. We could go anywhere, maybe even any time. It's a game changer." Captain Miles leaned forward, her eyes scanning the faces of her trusted crew. "If this technology falls into the wrong hands, especially the Githeri, it would mean the end of any chance we have at freedom. We need to secure it, understand it, and use it." The decision was made to retrofit the Retribution with the Continuum Engine. The task was daunting and risky. The ship's old systems were ill-equipped to integrate such advanced technology seamlessly, and any mistakes could be catastrophic. Over the next several weeks, the crew worked tirelessly. The engine room was transformed into a hybrid of human and alien technology. Panels were replaced, wires rerouted, and new controls interfaced with the old. Sentinel, whose programming included knowledge of the engine's operation, proved invaluable, guiding Harper and his team through the complex installation process. As the final piece was locked into place, a tense excitement filled the air. Captain Miles stood beside Harper in the engine room, watching as he initiated the first test. The Continuum engine hummed to life, its core emitting a pulsating light that synced with the rhythmic thrumming that vibrated through the hull. "Systems are stable, Captain." "It's working," Harper announced, barely able to contain his awe. Miles nodded, aware of the power now at their command. "Let's see what it can do." Choosing a remote area of space for their first real test, the Retribution prepared to make a jump beyond anything previously attempted by human technology. The crew braced themselves, not knowing what to expect. The engine activated, and reality seemed to warp and twist around them. In a blink, the stars shifted, and when they stabilized, the scanners confirmed they were several light-years away from their original position, instantaneously. The implications were staggering. They had the ability to move across the galaxy in moments, turning the tide of their constrained existence. For the first time in centuries, humanity was not bound by the limits of their technology or the threats of their oppressors. Captain Miles looked out into the vastness of space, a new determination settling in her heart. The galaxy was wide open to them now, and it was time to rewrite the rules. With the successful test of the Continuum engine, the ISS Retribution underwent a transformation both in technology and spirit. The once antiquated warship was now the most advanced vessel in the human fleet, possibly in the galaxy. Captain Miles called for a full briefing to discuss their new capabilities and to strategize their next moves. In the ship's briefing room, newly updated with holographic displays to handle the advanced data from the Continuum engine, the senior officers gathered. The walls, lined with screens and data feeds, flickered with celestial charts and complex equations that had seemed like science fiction mere weeks ago. "All right, team," Miles began, her voice firm and clear, "we have a tool that can change the course of history for humanity. But with great power comes great responsibility. We need to decide how best to use this to our advantage without alerting the Githry too soon." Lieutenant Commander Singh brought up a holographic model of Githry space. "Our first priority should be to disrupt their supply lines. If we can appear, strike, and disappear before they can track us, we could seriously undermine their operations." Harper chimed in, "The retrofit isn't just about the engine. I've upgraded our weapons systems and shields to make sure we can handle any immediate backlash from our hits. We're not just faster now, we're tougher." Dr. Voss added, "We should also consider alliances. There are other species suppressed by the Githry who could use our help. If we show them that the Githry aren't invincible, we might inspire a galaxy-wide resistance." Miles nodded thoughtfully, processing each point. "Our first strike needs to be precise and powerful. We send a message, not just to the Githry, but to the entire galaxy. The humans are not just back, we're a force to be reckoned with." The decision was made. Their first target would be a major Githry supply depot located in a system that also served as a hub for several trade routes. It was heavily guarded, a challenge under normal circumstances, but now within their reach thanks to the Continuum engine. The crew spent the next several days planning every detail of the operation. Simulations ran 24/7, with various scenarios played out to ensure every possible outcome was considered. The Retribution was not just a ship, it was a beacon of hope, and every crew member felt the weight of their mission. When the day of the strike arrived, tension was high. The crew took their positions, each person reviewing their role repeatedly. Captain Miles stood on the bridge, her eyes locked on the forward screens, watching the stars that would soon shift as they made the jump. "Engage the Continuum engine," she ordered, her voice steady. Space bent around the Retribution, the familiar stars stretching into lines as they entered the slipstream of folded space. Moments later, they emerged into the target system, the depot looming ahead, unsuspecting and vulnerable. "Fire all weapons," Miles commanded. Torpedoes and lasers struck with precision, crippling the depot's defenses before any alarms could sound. Within minutes, the depot was a ruin, a stark message carved among the stars. As quickly as they had appeared, the Retribution vanished, slipping back into the fabric of space-time, leaving behind chaos and the first sparks of rebellion. The operation was a resounding success. They had struck a significant blow without a single casualty, proving not only their technological superiority but also their tactical genius. Back on the bridge, Captain Miles allowed herself a small smile. Let the galaxy know, Earth is not just defending anymore. We are reclaiming our place among the stars. As word of the attack spread, it ignited a flame of hope and resistance across the galaxy. The Retribution was no longer just one ship against an empire, it was the harbinger of revolution. The attack on the Githry supply depot had sent ripples throughout the galaxy. News of the mysterious and devastating strike spread quickly, stirring unrest and speculation among both oppressed populations and the Githry rulers. Captain Alara Miles, aboard the ISS Retribution, knew the importance of maintaining momentum. The time to strike again was now, while the galaxy was still reeling from their first bold move. In the strategy room of the Retribution, the senior crew gathered around the holotable, which displayed multiple potential targets. Miles, standing at the head of the table, pointed to a cluster of systems heavily trafficked by Githry military convoys. Our next target is the Elethra system, Miles announced, her finger hovering over a bright node on the map. It's a key junction for Githry military logistics and is lightly guarded compared to other sectors. A hit here disrupts their ability to distribute reinforcements quickly across their outer territories. Lieutenant Commander Singh raised an eyebrow. It's bold, hitting them twice in quick succession. They'll start to escalate their responses. That's the point, Miles replied with a tight smile. We hit them hard and fast, keep them off balance, and show the galaxy that the Githry are not invincible. We also make it clear that this isn't just random piracy, it's a coordinated resistance. Preparations for the second strike were meticulous. Harper and his engineering team made additional tweaks to the Continuum engine, enhancing its efficiency to allow for even quicker jumps. Dr. Voss worked on gathering intelligence, ensuring that their information was as up-to-date as possible to avoid any unexpected complications. As the Retribution approached the coordinates for the jump to Elethra, the crew was quiet, each member reviewing their role in the upcoming operation. Miles stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the forward viewport, watching as the final checks were completed. Engage the engine on my mark, Miles ordered, her voice calm but carrying an edge of anticipation. 3, 2, 1, mark. Reality warped as the Continuum engine activated, and the Retribution slipped through the folds of space-time. They emerged right at the edge of the Elethra system, sensors immediately picking up the signatures of several Githry ships moving in formation, laden with supplies and unaware of the impending threat. Targets in sight. Weapons, you are free to engage at optimal range, Miles commanded. The Retribution unleashed a barrage of advanced torpedoes and laser fire, devastating the convoy before any ship could mount a defense. Explosions lit up the void as Githry vessels broke apart, their cargo spilling into space. Hit successful, Captain. All designated targets have been neutralized, reported the tactical officer. Good. Prepare for immediate withdrawal. Let's not overstay our welcome, Miles responded. As the crew executed their retreat, the Continuum engine flared again, whisking the Retribution away to the safety of the void. Back in the relative safety of unoccupied space, Captain Miles addressed her crew, "Well done, everyone. Today, we've taken another step towards freeing ourselves and the galaxy from Githry oppression. Let's keep the pressure on and prepare for the next operation." The news of the second successful strike spread even faster than the first. Across the galaxy, oppressed species began to whisper of a human warship that was striking fear into the heart of the Githry Dominion. Rumors turned into stories, and stories into legends, as more beings grew inspired to resist. On distant worlds and in hidden rebel cells, plans began to form, with the Retribution as the spark that ignited a galaxy-wide flame of rebellion. Each strike not only weakened the Githry but also strengthened the resolve of those who had long suffered under their rule. the universe watched and waited for the next act in what was quickly becoming humanity's most audacious fight for freedom. Following the successful strikes on the Githry supply depot and the Elethra system, the ISS Retribution became a symbol of hope and defiance throughout the galaxy. In the shadows of oppressed worlds and in the halls of minor and major systems alike, the tale of the human warship that dared to challenge the Githry Dominion stirred a burgeoning spirit of resistance. In the strategy room of the Retribution, Captain Alara Miles reviewed the latest intelligence reports with her senior staff. The room buzzed with a mix of excitement and the heavy burden of their newfound responsibility. The impacts of their actions had reached farther than any of them had anticipated. Dr. Lena Voss, the ship's sinologist, laid out the broader ramifications of their attacks. We're seeing a significant shift in galactic sentiment. Our strikes are not just military victories, they're propaganda triumphs. Various species, from the Torlians to the Kavarians, are expressing overt dissent against the Dominion for the first time in decades. Lieutenant Commander Singh added, and it's not just talk. We have credible reports of minor skirmishes where these species have taken arms against local Githry forces. The Dominion's control is slipping, their resources stretched thin across multiple fronts now. Captain Miles nodded thoughtfully. This is the momentum we hoped for. But it also means the Githry will soon respond with greater force. We must use this time wisely, strengthen our position, and perhaps most importantly, build alliances. The decision was made to initiate contact with potential allies. However, the nature of their covert operations required careful planning to avoid detection by Githry surveillance. Communications Officer Avachan set up encrypted channels and began reaching out to the contacts provided by Dr. Voss. Meanwhile, Harper worked on bolstering the ship's defenses and further integrating the Continuum Engine's capabilities with the Retribution systems. If we're going to be the spearhead of this resistance, we need to be untouchable, he declared, his hands busy at a console. As these preparations were underway, a covert meeting was arranged on the neutral planet of Dyrones, known for its dense asteroid fields which provided natural cover from prying eyes. Captain Miles and a small delegation traveled to the surface, leaving the Retribution hidden among the asteroids. On Dyrones, they met with representatives from 5 different species, each a leader within their own resistance movements. The meeting took place in a dimly lit room, deep underground, the air thick with the mix of different alien pheromones and the electric tension of conspiracy. Miles opened the meeting with a firm, passionate declaration: we've all suffered under the yoke of the Githry. Alone, we might evade their grasp or even land a few blows. But together, we can end their tyranny for good. The Retribution is proof of what's possible. The discussions were intense and fraught with the complexities of interspecies politics. Trust was hard-earned, as alliances in the galaxy were often temporary and shaped by necessity rather than genuine solidarity. Yet, the common cause against the Githry began to forge bonds that had seemed impossible before. After hours of negotiation, the group reached an agreement to share intelligence, coordinate strikes, and provide mutual support. They formed a loose coalition, not yet a formal alliance but a significant step towards unified resistance. As Miles and her team returned to the Retribution, she felt a cautious optimism. The seeds of a true rebellion were sown, growing from whispered discontent into a vocal challenge against the Githry Dominion. The galaxy was indeed changing, and at the heart of that change was the ISS Retribution, a singular human warship that had dared to believe the universe could be theirs again. After the pivotal meeting on Dyrones, Captain Alara Miles felt a renewed sense of purpose. The ISS Retribution had not only become a harbinger of hope for oppressed species but was now poised to lead a formidable coalition against the Githry Dominion. Back aboard her ship, floating silently amidst the dense asteroid field, Miles convened her senior staff to strategize their next move, utilizing the newly formed alliances. The coalition gives us a broader strategic footprint, Miles began, her eyes scanning the room, each face reflecting the gravity of their mission. Each member brings unique capabilities and local knowledge that can significantly disrupt Dominion operations. Our next strikes must be coordinated to maximize this advantage. Lieutenant Commander Singh chimed in, his tactical display alive with potential targets. We've identified several key systems where simultaneous strikes could cripple the Githry supply lines and communication networks. With our allies committed, we can hit them on multiple fronts. Dr. Voss highlighted the importance of their new allies' trust. These are not just military maneuvers. Each strike will also solidify our coalition. Success will breed trust, and trust will deepen our alliance. Harper added, I've been working with tech from our allies, integrating it into the Retribution. We'll have more than just the Continuum engine at our disposal. This includes cloaking tech from the Kavarians and energy shields from the Torlians. With the plans set, Miles ordered the coalition's first coordinated operation. The Retribution would strike a major communication hub in the Orleans sector, while their allies would simultaneously target fuel depots and military outposts in adjacent systems. The success of this operation was crucial not only for its immediate tactical benefits but also for proving the coalition's effectiveness. As the 0 hour approached, tension mounted on the Retribution. The crew worked with a quiet intensity, aware that the galaxy's eyes were on them, and many hopes rested on their shoulders. Miles, feeling the weight of command more acutely than ever, reviewed the final plans, her expression resolute. The operation commenced under the cover of darkness. The Continuum engine allowed the Retribution to emerge directly within the Orleans sector. Githry forces, caught off guard, scrambled to respond, but the precision of the human-led strike team was unmatched. Within minutes, the communication hub was disabled, sending ripples of disruption through Githry networks. Simultaneously, reports filtered in from their allies. The Torlians had successfully taken down a fuel depot, and the Kavarians had disabled a critical military outpost. The coordinated strikes were a resounding success, shaking the foundation of the Githry's control in the region. In the aftermath, Captain Miles addressed her crew and their allies via secured channels. Today, we've demonstrated not only our resolve but the power of our united front. Let's continue to work together, leveraging our strengths against our common enemy. Together, we are stronger than the sum of our parts. The impact of the operation was profound. News of the successful coordinated strikes spread rapidly across the galaxy, inspiring other oppressed groups to join the burgeoning resistance. The Retribution and its coalition had not only dealt a significant blow to the Githry Dominion but had also lit a beacon of unity that promised a new dawn for the galaxy. As Captain Miles looked out into the vastness of space from her command deck, she knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges. Yet, for the first time in many years, she felt a stirring of hope that the tide of war was turning in their favor, and with it, the fate of the galaxy. With the Resistance Coalition gaining momentum and the Githry Dominion feeling the pressure, it became clear that the Githry would not sit idle. Reports of a massive Githry armada assembling near the Tyrian moons hinted at a strike intended to crush the budding rebellion. Captain Alara Miles saw both the danger and the opportunity this presented. The Githry are baiting us into a confrontation, Miles briefed her senior officers aboard the ISS Retribution. They're hoping to end this quickly by drawing us out and overwhelming us. We must respond, but on our terms. Lieutenant Commander Singh, examining the tactical data, suggested the Tyrian moons are clustered with dense asteroid fields. It's a difficult place for large fleets to maneuver. If we engage them there, we could use the terrain to our advantage. Dr. Voss added, many species in our coalition know those moons. Their knowledge could turn the asteroids from a navigational hazard into a strategic asset. Miles nodded, her mind racing through scenarios. We'll set a trap. Harper, I need you to work with our allies to rig those asteroids with explosives. Singh, coordinate the fleet's positions. We'll use the Continuum engine to appear where they least expect and strike hard. As the coalition forces gathered, the diverse array of ships, from sleek, fast attack vessels to rugged, armored cruisers, formed a mosaic of resistance power. Each captain, whether human, Torlian, or Kavarian, understood the stakes of the battle ahead. The Githry armada arrived at the Tyrian moons as predicted, their ships a formidable wall of metal and might, spreading out in a display of power intended to intimidate. But the resistance was ready. The battle commenced with a flurry of movements. The Retribution and its allies appeared from behind moons and within asteroid belts, using the element of surprise to their full advantage. Explosives set within the asteroids detonated as Githry ships passed, sending shockwaves through their formations and breaking their lines. Amidst the chaos, Captain Miles directed the Retribution to the heart of the battle. The ship's upgraded weapons systems, combined with the tactical prowess of the crew, allowed them to cut through the Githry forces, targeting command ships and disrupting their ability to regroup. On the tactical display, Singh pointed out a Githry dreadnought attempting to rally the fleet. Miles, recognizing the opportunity to cripple the Githry leadership, ordered a full assault. The Continuum engine blinked the Retribution across the battlefield, positioning them for a critical strike. As the dreadnought's defenses faltered under the barrage from multiple coalition members, the Retribution delivered the final blow. The dreadnought erupted into a brilliant explosion, its destruction a signal to the Githry forces that their command structure was shattered. The remaining Githry ships, now leaderless and chaotic, were driven off or destroyed one by one. The battle, intense and harrowing, ended with the coalition not just surviving but triumphing. Back aboard the Retribution, Captain Miles addressed her weary but exultant crew. Today, we fought not just for our survival but for our freedom. This victory is ours, and it's a testament to what we can achieve together. The battle may be over, but the war continues. We must remain vigilant and ready. The Battle of Tarian Moons would be remembered as a turning point in the galactic struggle against the Githry Dominion. It showcased the effectiveness of the coalition and marked a significant shift in the war's momentum. For Captain Miles and the Retribution, it was a profound affirmation of their mission and a reminder of the fierce resistance they had ignited across the stars. The victory at the Battle of Tarian Moons had a seismic impact across the galaxy. The Githry Dominion, reeling from the loss of a major part of its fleet and several high-ranking commanders, found its grip loosening. News of the defeat spread rapidly, igniting rebellions on previously subdued worlds and drawing more allies to the coalition's cause. Captain Alara Miles knew this was the moment to push forward, to capitalize on their momentum and deal a decisive blow. In the war room of the ISS Retribution, the atmosphere was electric with strategic fervor as Miles and her team planned their next, potentially final, operation. The Githry's central command is on their capital planet, Xylos. If we can destabilize their leadership there, the Dominion's structure could crumble from the inside out, Miles outlined, her eyes scanning the holographic map glowing before them. Lieutenant Commander Singh pointed to several fortified positions around the planet. Xylos is heavily defended, but their recent losses may have left gaps in their orbital defenses we can exploit. Dr. Voss suggested, we've got the support of the entire coalition now. A multi-front assault could spread their forces thinner, giving us the opening we need. Harper, who had been modifying the Retribution systems further, added confidently, and with the latest upgrades to the Continuum engine, we can perform multiple jumps during combat, hitting them hard and fast before they can regroup. The plan was set, a full-scale assault on Xylos, involving all coalition forces, coordinated to strike simultaneously across different sectors. The Retribution would lead the main attack, targeting the planetary defense grid that protected Xylos' command center. As the coalition fleet assembled in the shadows of a nearby moon, cloaked by both technology and the natural electromagnetic disturbances of the region, Miles addressed her crew and the Allied commanders via a secure channel. Today, we finish what we started. Today, we fight not just for the freedom of one species but for the liberty of the entire galaxy. Let's bring an end to the Dominion. The assault began at the designated hour. The Retribution, at the vanguard of the fleet, blinked into existence above Xylos, its weapons blazing as it targeted the defense satellites and ground installations. Around the planet, other coalition ships emerged from hyperspace, each conducting strikes designed to overwhelm the Githry defenses. On Xylos, chaos ensued. The Githry forces scrambled to respond to the sudden, multi-pronged attack, their communications hampered by the coordinated jamming efforts of the coalition's electronic warfare units. Miles maneuvered the Retribution through the thick of battle, the ship's advanced systems allowing them to outpace and outgun their opponents. Each strike was precise, each move calculated to bring them closer to the command center. Finally, after breaching the last layer of the planetary defense, the Retribution delivered a series of devastating blows directly to the Githeri command hub. As the command center crumbled, the Githeri forces across the galaxy felt the cut of their head. Without a central command, confusion and disarray spread through their ranks. Many surrendered, while others retreated, trying to regroup and make sense of the sudden shift in power. In the aftermath of the battle, as the dust settled and the sounds of conflict faded, a profound silence fell over Xylos. Miles, standing on the bridge of the Retribution, watched as the Coalition forces began landing on the planet, greeted not as invaders but as liberators by the populace. "We've done it," she said softly, almost disbelieving. "The Githeri Dominion has fallen." In the days that followed, representatives from each of the Coalition species met to discuss the future governance of the galaxy. A new federation was proposed, one where no single species would hold dominion over others, and where peace and cooperation would be the guiding principles. Captain Miles, once a mere starship captain, now stood as a central figure in the new galactic order. Under her leadership, the Retribution had not only changed the course of a war but had also reshaped the political landscape of the galaxy. The universe, once claimed by the Githeri, was now truly theirs to share. The fall of the Githeri Dominion marked a new era for the galaxy. Planets once under the yoke of oppression celebrated their newfound freedom, and the echoes of their jubilation resonated through space. On the bridge of the ISS Retribution, Captain Alara Miles watched as the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, reflecting the galaxy's relief and newfound hope. As the initial celebrations waned, the reality of rebuilding loomed large. The damage wrought by years of Dominion rule was extensive, and the task of forging a new, united galaxy was daunting. Yet, under the persistent and resilient leadership exemplified by Miles and her allies, the Coalition transitioned from a military alliance into a peacetime cooperative. The newly established Galactic Federation convened on the neutral planet of Dyrones, where representatives from every member species gathered to draft a charter. Captain Miles, invited to speak at the inaugural session, stood before the assembly, her uniform bearing the marks of battle, a testament to the long journey they had all endured. "Today, we stand at the threshold of a future we once only dreamed of," Miles began, her voice carrying through the hall. "A future where our children can grow up in a galaxy that values peace over war, cooperation over conquest. As we lay down the foundations of the Galactic Federation, let us build on the principles of equality, justice, and mutual respect that brought us together in our darkest times." Her speech was met with applause, a resounding affirmation of the shared desire for a peaceful and prosperous galaxy. Over the weeks that followed, the Federation worked tirelessly to address the immediate needs of war-torn systems while laying the groundwork for a sustainable governance structure. Rebuilding efforts were massive, with the Retribution often at the forefront, delivering aid and support to the most affected areas. However, the transition was not without challenges. Disparate cultures and histories led to disagreements and political tensions within the Federation. Miles, ever the diplomat, found herself navigating complex negotiations, her skills as a captain and a combatant proving equally useful in the conference rooms as they had been in the heat of battle. Amidst the complexities of her new role, Miles took time to reflect on the journey that had brought her here. From the bridge of the Retribution, gazing out into the vastness of space, she thought of her crew, the sacrifices made, and the lives lost. The weight of command had never been heavier, yet the promise of what they were building lightened the burden. As the first anniversary of the Dominion's fall approached, the Federation planned a commemoration to honor those who had fought and fallen. It was a somber yet hopeful ceremony, attended by thousands from across the galaxy, each bearing their own stories of liberation. Captain Miles was asked to light the Beacon of Unity, a symbolic structure located on Dyrones, emitting a continuous light that could be seen from space, representing the enduring spirit of the Coalition. As she ignited the beacon, the light spread across the gathered crowd, casting long shadows and bathing the assembly in a warm glow. "We light this beacon not just to remember the past but to guide us in the dark, reminding us that even in the deepest night, dawn is inevitable," Miles addressed the crowd. let it be a symbol of our unity and our commitment to the future we all share. As the light from the beacon stretched into space, the Retribution and other ships from the Federation fleet joined in a ceremonial flyby, their hulls gleaming under the stars. It was a beautiful, poignant moment, a fitting tribute to the hard-fought peace they now enjoyed. With the galaxy slowly stabilizing and the Federation gaining strength, Captain Miles decided it was time for her to step down from her role in the military. She had seen the Retribution through wars and skirmishes, through victories and losses, and now she wanted to explore the galaxy in a different way, not as a warrior, but as an explorer and ambassador for the new era. Her legacy, however, would forever remain in the annals of the Galactic Federation, immortalized not just as a war hero but as a visionary leader who dared to dream of a universe where the universe was theirs became a reality for all.